All right, dude. Controlling my own volume over here. All kinds of craziness going on. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to This Pink Cloud Season 3, Episode 1. Episode 1, Season 3. Season 3, yes. If you don't know what we are a podcast, webcast about addiction recovery, sobriety, mental health, all that good stuff. Let's see. We've got my boy Nathaniel on the board today, which we are thankful for. Thank you. Appreciate it. We are at a new studio. We are at Hello Studios in downtown Dallas. My boy Fitz, gracious enough to give us a spot to land from Frisco, and it's good to be out of Frisco. Just kidding, Frisco. Love you. But other than that, let's see. Sitting across from me normally would be Dylan, my co-host. A little sadness going on there, but Dylan is having some personal issues, and we wish him the best. We do the thoughts and prayers, but he's going through some personal stuff, but we'll be back soon enough. But here it is, the recovery legend,
What?
and a dude named Kelly. It's a club. It's like we have a mutual respect already whenever we run into somebody named Kelly. This is Kelly Avon, self-proclaimed and recovery legend in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, man, what's going on?
Not much. Thanks for being the guinea pig on the first episode. It's kind of weird. I feel like we don't have the chairs, but it's stools, and it's a learning curve for everybody. And hopefully this doesn't sound like total crap.
Yeah, well,
it is.
You
what
never
it
know.
is. Hey, let me hit our sponsor real quick, which is www.summersky.us. That number is 888-857-8857. Once again, that is summersky.us, 888-857-8857. It is a place where I got sober, and if I can do it, you can do it. So reach out to them there in lovely Stephenville, Texas. But, I'm excited to hear your story because we go to some of the same rooms, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've just never really, heard it in its entirety. I mean, I know, your sobriety dates like about 13 years. But if you want to go ahead and just give us some background and give us a backstory, DOC, fun stuff like that.
Yeah, my name's Kelly. I'm an addict. Two Kellys here today, man. That's
Exactly.
awesome. Man, my story's pretty similar to like a lot of people's. Man, I started using when I was 15. Started with the gateways and worked my way up from there, man, pretty quickly and efficiently. By the time I was 19, I was on my first meth binge, and that would last for about a year, and then I would start this cycle at that point of what I would do is I would binge on hard drugs, and then I would go, oh my God, this is crazy. I got to stop doing this. And so I would stop doing it. And then all my friends and,
That temporary moment of clarity.
Well, I mean, just I got to stop doing that.
Yeah,
Like
that, but hopefully we can
this
still
over
do all
here,
this.
this is still on the table
Sure.
because, I didn't, sell all my stuff to,
Right.
I did not pay my rent because I was drinking beer.
Right,
I
sure.
didn't pay my rent because I was on a meth binge. So, all my normal friends would be like, hey, man, just, smoke weed and drink a beer, man. Be cool. I'd go, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Of course.
Like, and so I would do that. And, it would sometimes I'd go a year, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
But, there'd always be, parties on the weekends and stuff like that. But, meth was like my drug of no choice.
Mm-hmm.
Once I started doing it, I couldn't stop, and I would forget that.
I like that, drug of no choice,
Oh, yeah.
because
I
you
mean,
had no choice.
Now,
Yeah.
once I start, man, it's it's off to the races, and there's no, as much as I'd like to control it, I don't want to stop.
Right.
I have no desire to stop.
Sure.
And I would forget that. So what would happen is I'd be on the just party and maintenance program, which would be all right. I wouldn't really accomplish anything or feel better about myself or anything, but and then eventually, the devil shows up. And somebody would have some at a party or something, and,
right?
And I'd be.
You already might be semi-inebriated.
I'd
and
be just drunk enough,
in no condition to say no.
I mean, I wasn't good at saying no anyway. To anything ever.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
So,
yeah.
And so it would start the whole thing, and then a year or two later, I'd go, "Oh my God, this is crazy! I got to stop doing this." And then my normal friends would show up and go, "Hey man, just drink beer and calm down." And
right.
And I would go, okay, yeah, and I did that for 28 years.
Right.
And just a cycle of getting, losing, finding, using. Man, I made that rhyme.
Yeah.
I think it's because I have these. I think it's because I have these headphones.
I think
on.
it's because of the fresh tracksuit.
Well, I
dude.
mean, I put this on. I have this microphone.
Right.
It's like I'm pretty sure I should start my rap career right
Sure.
here and now.
Yeah.
That's what you do in recovery, right?
Right. We'll get to your rap name here in a bit.
Yeah, well. So anyway, man, I would just do that over and over and over again, man. And I had tried rehab one time. I went to a Scientology-based rehab called Narconon in Northern California.
I did not know that existed.
Yeah, and
was Tom Cruise there?
Man,
was John Travolta there?
Believe it or not,
yeah.
John Travolta's nanny's brother was there.
Okay.
I'm not kidding.
6 degrees of Travolta.
Well, I mean, he was a cool guy, man.
Yeah.
He was like he was a king crab fisherman before that show came out. Like he was a badass.
Oh, I gotcha.
And like he took us mountain climbing and he was really like ripped and cool and he was cooler than me, which
is tough. Which is a tall.
Took me a while to get
which
like
is a
okay
tall
with
order,
it.
dude.
It took me a while to get okay with it, but like he would say nice things about me, so I would be like, okay, well. It worked while I was there.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had some bad information from people that that were out there that meant well, and the information was that. Don't go to an NA meeting. Don't go to an AA meeting. They sell drugs in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
And, I was like, oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
I guess I won't. And so I got back home and I had no support system. And within a month, I was using again.
What did they want you to just go to be a full member of the Church of Scientology, and we're gonna fix that for you?
Yeah, they couldn't.
I mean,
they try. They try to get you to work. And they try to get you to work there. And they say nice things to you, and they tell you how talented you are, but I mean the program itself is brilliant. I mean, there's a sauna purification program. It was like one of the coolest things I've ever done.
Okay.
I mean, like you get done with it, and you're like, "Wow, was the sky always this blue?
Right?
Did lettuce always taste this good? This is amazing."
Well,
like
no, because I've never had.
You out.
I have 1,000,001 questions I could just ask about Scientology. I don't mean to go off on that tangent, but it's just like I've never heard anybody say that they went through a rehab that was Scientology based. I guess.
Well, it was.
It's interesting. That's fun to know.
Fun
facts.
My mother at the time was dating a Scientologist guy. Who we will refer to as piece of shit. He was what he was, man.
Right.
And like, he told my mom about it. He was in Santa Cruz, California, and I go, yeah, I want to go there.
Yeah, of course.
And I got to go to Santa Cruz and take like the best vacation I've ever taken, man.
Sure.
And it was really cool because like. Once you were there and you'd been there like a week and they saw that like you weren't going to do anything crazy or they trusted you that you could go anywhere and do anything. You just had to do like the program, and then like people from California would come there and bring their cars, and so we'd just jump in a car and go.
Wow.
I mean like I was real good friends with the band Pantera, so I'm like
which Pantera is from Arlington, Dallas area, if people don't know.
So my name's on the Cowboys from Hell album.
Oh, there we go.
But, so is about 600 other people. but yeah, man.
You're the only one that wasn't a stripper.
No, yeah. Well, it wasn't that good back then.
Right.
This is before they got famous. Like this was right when they were breaking through.
Sure.
But after they did get famous, like they were coming to Santa Cruz or they were coming to San Jose, and like I called their manager, who was a friend of mine. I said, "Hey, can you get me tickets for the show?" You know, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll get you tickets and after show passes." And so I took like 10 people from the rehab to the show. I mean, we did cool stuff while we were there, right?
Yeah.
And then they took me to like punk rock shows and got back. You know, it was we just didn't use. You know, and so it was really cool. And
that's tough to do with Pantera.
Yeah, well, it was right after Phil had OD'd, and he saw me at like the backstage, and he was like, "Hey, come party!" And I'm like, "Dude, I can't. I'm in rehab."
Yeah, right.
He's like, "What are you doing here, then?" Like,
yeah, exactly, dude.
Like, these are your fans, bro. This is who pays for your dope,
right?
But yeah, man. So, you know, just when I got home, man, nothing had changed. The program was cool. You know, it was very mental and very, they had drills where you had to do eyes open.
Okay.
And that was like you'd have to stare at your partner for an hour without blinking.
That's uncomfortable.
And you would have to be there for them.
Okay.
Can you? And I mean, like.
I mean, I can look
like
at you in the eyes right now for about 30 seconds, and then I got to drift.
Well, they do it when you first get there.
Yeah.
And then they do it after the sonic purification program, and like. If you blink, it's like fail. It's like, oh. So I mean, like,
how can you
want to
not blink?
Man, you can do it.
Yeah. Did they give you toothpicks?
No, man. You just like.
Okay. All right.
Just do it. You know.
So you got really good at a staring contest.
Yeah, yeah. Basically. I mean, there's other stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. You have cognitions and things. You know, which are like it's step work basically. Just at just a different style.
Right.
But I didn't take that part of the program that serious because I'm kick ass and I got look at me
all
now,
I needed to pump the brakes. And,
I was jogging like 8 miles in the mountains. I was ripped. I looked like an astronaut. And I thought I was better. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm done, man. I'll never do that again. And just let me go home and show everybody how badass I am. And a month later, I was bored and nothing had changed, and I was like, oh well. And so anyway, that was my one and only time to go to rehab. And which today it's amazing, man. I'll go to meetings and I'll hear kids going, "I've been to rehab 12 times." And I didn't know there was 12 rehabs you could go to.
Dude, I've heard seriously, I've heard like 45 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, dude, maybe you need to go to prison.
Well, it's a much,
but not like that's going to stop you, really.
Well, it's just my point is it's just a much different recovery world today than back then. I'm an old school partier. I wasn't like the word addict was not like in our vocabulary.
No, the word substance use disorder was not.
It was just Kelly. He's a partier, man.
Yeah,
Look at him over there. Like, don't give him the bag and let him go in the bathroom by himself because
that bag will be
because he will party.
Yeah, right.
And there was no
there
was no fucking cake or presents or anything for the last 20 years that I partied.
Sure.
But yeah, man. So that that rehab didn't take, and then a couple years later I went on then I went on a binge and I stayed on that binge for about a year and a half, and then a buddy of mine was like, "Hey man, I've got this thing I want you to go through, man. It's a life enrichment seminar." And I was like, "Okay, cool, man. Like, I'll try it, and
sure." And were you using again at this time?
Yeah, it was like the first
full on back.
Well, the first
new and improved.
The first weekend of the seminar, I was coming down off of meth, and I didn't do any.
Okay.
But I was still high on it from because you stay high for 3 or 4 days, but but man, this was like this life changing, and I felt really good, and I was like, man, these people are incredible, and it was this. It was a sort of Christian life enrichment seminar called the Road Adventure, and it was really cool, man. And so I made it through part 1 and part 2. And part 2 I wasn't high, but part 2 I made it through, and then it was over, and like there was nothing, there was no follow up, no nothing, and I was like, well, that felt great. I felt like I was fixed, but then so I relapsed again, and probably for about a half a year. And then I found out the Road Adventure was building a seminar place on Campbell Road, and I was like, I'm going to go up there and check it out. And I walked up there, and I was coming down off of, some stuff, and like they welcomed me with open arms and said, hey, man, like we remember when you went through here, man, you should come and be a what's called a trainer here, which is basically a counselor who guides you through the seminar. And so I did that for the next year of my life. I did that once a month, for this. It's a 3-day weekend. It's like a 5-day week, and then there's a 3-day weekend, and you go all day and all night. But it was really cool. And it was really cool, and I helped a lot of people, and I felt really good about myself. And I found out, that one of my talents was like listening to people, finding out what's wrong with them, and kind of helping them, but it was Christian based, and I wasn't really a Christian, so we kind of like, I wanted to be, but I just couldn't get there, and so I would listen to it, we'd do all the prayers and everything, and after it was over, I would go with a couple guys from there, and we'd go drink some beer, because you couldn't drink during it, but you could drink after, they weren't really, it was just, but I did that for a while, man, and that was cool. And then, that ended, and binged again, and so
Sure.
I, just that complete cycle of just binging, stopping, and I had binges on all the big 3-4 drugs, heroin, crack, coke, meth,
Would you just rotate?
No, I would just get stuck on one for a minute, and go, this is different. Maybe I can manage this one, you know. And,
it's funny. I love that. Maybe if I just do this, it'll be okay. Just how the mind works. It's fascinating. Like maybe I can just navigate.
But it wasn't ever even like maybe I can. It was just more. It was just more of a I like this.
Gotcha.
Oh, this is cool. Yeah, this is
sure.
this. I remember one of the guy who actually turned me on to heroin goes, "It's user friendly, Bubba." I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool, yeah. And at first it was, you snort a little bit and you'd go, oh, I can still talk to people. I'm not all ganked out like I am on meth. I can actually go to sleep and wake up and go to work the next morning, and it is user friendly, And then 9 months later, it's like, wait, I don't have any, and I'm sick,
Yeah.
So I did that one time. I got dope sick one time, and I said, anybody that goes back to that, to use that shit again after being dope sick one time is stupid.
Right.
I mean, because that was too much, man.
Sure.
It was like,
but the thing that sucks is it happens all the time, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It just wasn't my thing, man.
Yeah.
Like, with meth, it's like you run out, you come down, you just sleep for like 4 days. And,
right.
You wake up and you're hungry and you eat, and then you go back to sleep for 4 more,
Right.
But that's the difference in the come down is like, and me trying to like say my drug of no choice is better than their drug of no choice is pretty silly. But
sure,
I just was like, that's the worst thing I've ever felt in my life. And
right, yeah,
and
I can imagine.
I had COVID last year, and I was like, man, this feels like being dope sick.
Right.
This feels like snake venom.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, I had a good job for a while, man, and it's funny because my home group is Eastside in Richardson, and the company that I had a good job at is right behind Eastside. It's a big moving company, and I had a good job there. I became a commercial accounts manager, and no high school diploma, they were just like, you're smart, you can do it. And I was like, you're damn right I can, I just became a household goods salesman, commercial account manager at a moving company, and man, I kept partying, man, didn't do any meth or anything, but I would do blow on the weekends and just, and then I would show up Monday just going,
Yeah.
And then it would, then I'd party on Thursday night because, it's ladies' night at some bar, and I have, and somebody's going,
you gotta get ready for the weekend.
Yeah, and so.
like you need to warm up to party.
So after about 2.5, 3 years of that, they were kind of sick of my shit, and they were like, hey, you know what? Why don't you sign this letter of resignation, and we'll pay you for 2 more weeks. And then, and I'm dumb, and I sign it, and, can't get unemployment. But anyway, I hadn't done meth in like 3 years at that point. And so, like, I'm like, well, I know what I can do now. And so I turned down meth for 3 years for probably once every month somebody had some, and I go, nah, I got to work. I got a job. I can't do that. I can do this over here, but I can't do that.
Sure.
Anyway, man, I went searching for it, and just got high and drunk on some other stuff, man, and couldn't find any meth that night, and I crashed my car into a parked car on the wrong side of the road, going from a girlfriend's house to her friend's house because I was gonna, I need to crash. And I crashed, and
yeah, right, literally.
And I really hadn't been drinking that much, but like the other stuff that I had done had like really, taken a toll. And so I get out of my car, and there's a deaf lady that lives there, and she came out and was like, and I'm like, it's okay, I've got insurance, and I started to try to like run, and I was
that's always a good sign, dude. I've got insurance. I'll see you later.
I was going to go run back to her house and regroup, and just let my crash car sit there, and let everybody else figure that out while I went and slept off the 4 Xanax that I had taken.
Sure.
And because I usually didn't take those, and I took them that night, and of course it was a bad idea, and so
that combo didn't work out well.
I was running down the street.
The combo platter of the evening.
Yeah, if I can remember correctly, I was running down the street like slow motion, like the $6 Million Man. I'm like
with a deaf
gotta get away
with a deaf lady chasing you.
No, she didn't chase me, but
back here.
Yeah, well, she didn't chase me, but the cops did, and like I just remember like some big, really arms twice the size of mine wrapping around me and burying my face into the dirt.
Right.
And going to jail later and waking up going, hey, oh yeah, okay. And so then when that case came up, my lawyer was like, hey, we can beat this, but there's a deaf lady, and she said, I could smell beer on his breath. Oh, fuck.
Right.
He's like, if she wasn't deaf, we could probably beat it, but it's like they have super smell because
right. Yeah, true. Yeah.
I mean,
the heightened senses.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, just my luck. So anyway, after that, I did all the meth I could do for the next 5 years, and so I still kept a job the whole time. I moved, I'm a furniture mover, and you can do it high. Yeah. In fact, some days you can do it really well high. And other days, the guys on the truck are going,
what the hell?
Are you all right?
Yeah. I got this, dude.
And like a lot of customers, I would show up, and they'd be like, oh, wait a minute. We're going to let this guy in our house. And then by the time I'd leave, they'd be like, oh, we love you, Kelly. Thank you. Because I'd be like vacuuming their closet,
Right.
If the shit was good and I was,
Sure.
If it wasn't, though, then I'd be like,
yeah.
Where did I put that dolly to move that thing? So after a while, man, the guys got sick of my shit, and they all ratted me out. And then my boss at a moving company, he called me, and so I was renting a room from a lady, and I kept my life simple when I used, man, like small fish, don't get caught. Trophy fish get caught, and small fish get thrown back. So I stayed a small fish in that world, man, and just used, went home, used, went home, worked, used, went home. And so the last day I used, my boss called me, and he was like, "Hey, man, I see you've been doing some creative paperwork, and the guys kind of ratted you out and said that you were the one that was up to it." And I was like, "Man, they all do it." And he goes, "Yeah, but you're supposed to be my friend," because I played softball with this guy, and we'd been friends for a long time.
Now, when you say creative paperwork, is that code for
stealing?
Yeah, I gotcha.
And so. And that hit me really hard, man. When he said, "Yeah, but you're supposed to be my friend," because I was like, I didn't know I had any friends. Sorry, I forgot.
Right.
It's pretty much just all about me, when I'm using.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
Anyway, man, the lady that I was renting a room from that I'd found in the green sheet, she called me downstairs and had the other old man that was living there, like in the room for reinforcements, I guess. Like, and she goes, "We think you're doing drugs and you got to move out." And I'm like, "Oh, you think? I haven't slept since I moved in." Okay, well, good call. So
you got me.
I took my little hobo bag on a stick and pedaled away on my bicycle because I I wrecked my car 5 years ago, and I
Right.
couldn't mastermind getting a driver's license or anything else. You know, for the 5 years that meth was the most important thing in my world. And
Right.
I pedaled away on my bicycle in the pouring rain, and it was state fair time. And
okay.
so, and the reason I remember is because it was Richardson State Fair Day, where the kids are out, because I got on the train in Richardson, and I saw some people I knew. And they were like, "Hey, Kelly, we're going to the state fair." It was one of my softball buddies and his kids, you know, and I was just like with my bike, and I was just like, hey,
right, like Gollum style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, man, I just remember at that point right there, I just go, man, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with all of this.
Sure.
All of it. Like, I don't care what kind of life I have left after this. I'm done with dope. I'm done with, and I'd never been to a meeting in my life.
I thought you were going to say something about going to the state fair, and I was like, oh, dude.
No.
And then I met some homies there at the
I got
state
a corn
fair,
dog and
then,
everything.
And then I did some meth, dude, and then we ended up going from state fair to state fair to state fair. And
I had a Magic Fletcher's corny dog.
There you go.
You'll never believe what happened. No, no, man. It was just enough.
It was like
man.
one of those things,
just
like
enough,
where you're
man.
just like,
It's like,
these people have kids. I'm on my bike coming down hard. I just got kicked out by grandma.
Okay, so here's another little
wrinkle.
A little wrinkle of that story. Is that family I had done dope with?
Okay,
like I had partied with them, but
the people that you were living with?
No, the people on the train.
Okay, gotcha.
And I played softball with her husband, and he was real good at, like, he could do a little bit and not do anymore.
Yeah,
she couldn't, but he kept her in check. So I saw her and her friend and the kids on the train. And she's like, "Hey, Kelly." I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, man, why am I like this and she's like that? Why does she get to have her kids and why does she get to, you know? And I was like, man, I'm done. I'm fucking done, right? And I mean, that girl, I hope she's still in recovery because she bottomed out way harder than I ever did. You know, that girl with her kids, like she, you know, and so I don't want to put her business out there, but that was just one of those things where, like, you know, I was looking at her, you know, I mean, addiction catches up with all of us. Some of us have it, some of us don't. Some people can do a little bit and stop and control it and manage it.
Sure.
I can't.
Right.
You know, I can't control cupcakes. You know, like, you know, one is too many, you know.
Sure.
Sugar was my first drug of choice. I mean, when
yeah.
I was 5 or 6 years old, I remember stealing from my grandmother to go get my own supply of candy because the 1 or 2 pieces they gave me wasn't enough, man. It was like, you know, y'all got to be kidding, man. Like, that's, like, I want that syrupy, sugary goodness.
Well, so
like,
would you say that the rooms were pretty much your I guess answer for addiction or for recovery, or what would you say?
Man, that's a tough question because
I mean, they obviously played a part in it.
Because I think for me personally, the dope is what got me clean. Like, the dope is what made me quit.
Sure.
I hadn't been to a meeting yet. And so what happened was I got off the train and I had to call my mommy. I was 42 years old. And
You had to call your mommy at
Mommy,
42.
I have nowhere to go and I don't have a job anymore.
Sure.
And can I come home? And I'm like, I'm done, Mom. I promise. And she's like, yeah, if you're done, you know, she could tell. Like, she could, you know, it was just a vibe, you know. And so I went home and everything was different, you know. And I slept for a few days and woke up and my mom's like, yeah, so glad you're here, man. And I was like, yeah, I'm done, Mom. This, like, I'm so done. Like, you just don't, you know. So anyway, I was sitting around with my mom and my sister for, you know, a couple of weeks. And then my sister's like, hey, why don't you try going to a meeting? And I'm like, man, what do you mean? You know, she's like, you know, like AA or NA or something, you know. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure, why not?
It'd be better than sitting around here with you and Mom, you know, and I bet there's girls there, you know.
Right.
And I like the ladies.
Sure, of course.
You know, so I was like, well, let's go check it out. And so I went to a couple of AA meetings and, you know, I was like, I can see how this helps, but, like, you know, I'd share about drugs and they'd be like, you know, hey, you might need to go across the street. And so I wasn't offended. I was like, well.
Right.
It was
if for those that don't know, they're kind of compartmentalized. Like, there's, you know, your CMA, there's CA, there's AA, and, you know, it's all basically taken from the big book originally, which was an AA.
Well, this
book.
is
but people like to kind of be with their own, and I get it. So,
well,
you
this
know,
was
or that understand them better.
You know, this was this was over Mesquite, and there's an AA group, and right across the street is an NA group. So I was like, I told my ride, because I still didn't have a car yet, and I, you know, still had the bicycle, which was a miracle. But I said, hey, take me over there by that NA group, and just let me just see what it looks like, you know, drive through the parking lot or something, you know. And we drove through, and a couple girls standing outside, and I was like, yeah, I want to go there. You know,
okay, well, they got girls, dude.
I mean,
so
you know, it's
they
better.
automatically
I just want to be sitting at home with mom and my sister. You know, it's like so. The next night, I went to a NA meeting, and I walked in the door, and it was electric. It was a vibe. It was a vibration that I'd never felt before. It felt like everything was alive, and I could just feel the energy. And man, I'll never forget. Man, I just started reading the stuff on the walls, and I was just like, oh my God. They know what's wrong with me. Yeah. Like my whole life, I didn't know what was wrong with me, man, because, you know, I just got bad advice from people who tried their best. But, man, like I never tried an NA meeting. So I walked in there, and they were like, oh, yeah, bro, you got the disease of addiction, you know. And I'm like, most people, you know, I started reading the stuff, man, and I devoured it, man. And I was just like, you know, most of us will realize that the disease was present long before the drugs ever were. And I was like, oh, my God. Right. Like, they've known what's wrong with me since I was 5. Thank God. Finally a diagnosis, you know, because it was just such a relief, man. And so, you know, I sunk my teeth into it, man, worked the steps, and, you know, got a sponsor, and you know, got a relationship, had a baby, you know, that wasn't mine, adopted it. She left me, paid child support for 5 years, and then now that's over. She's like, we don't need your money anymore, and she doesn't want you to be her dad anymore. So I'm like, okay. And I just did the right thing, man, time after time after time. And, you know, my life's been pretty magical, man, you know, even with the heartbreaks and the things like that.
Well, yeah, and it's like what they say is life on life's terms. So there's a lot of that, and a lot of people have trouble navigating that without substance or their, you know, their DOC. Well, and I get that.
Well, see, I had 28 years of experience of doing it the wrong way, and so now that I've done it the right way for a while, and I see how hard it is just to do it the right way without drugs, like, you know, people go, you know, do you ever think about using again or relapse? And I'm like, no. Yeah. Fuck no, man. Life's hard enough just like this. Sure. This is hard. Like, no wonder I use, but that's going to make it way harder. Like, I have a hard time just, you know, I mean, I do pretty good at life, but it's still, man, like the battles that are in here are constant, right? You know, and so,
well, what would you say? Because I mean, to me, and if nobody knows my story out there, I was an alcoholic for about the same length of time. You know, and it just went from party to addiction. But very gradually, you know, and it took me forever to actually even realize, you know, and admit to myself that it was unmanageable. But you know, I guess you know, with me, I still like think, you know, I've got that 2-year mark coming up. So, you know, if I get to that 2-year mark, you know, maybe a beer or something like that. I mean, that creeps in. But I guess the question that I was going to ask you is what trick do you use after 13 years of sobriety? Do you use to remind yourself of how shitty or unmanageable your life was?
You know, that's a good question. You know, it's 28 years of just going, man, that was a waste. Right. I look back on it and I just go, what the fuck was that?
Right. Well, you said something the other night, you know, where you envy a lot of the younger people that are actually in the program, because it's like, dude, you know, you were 42 until you figured it out, you know. And I mean, shit, I was 50. I was 50 until I figured it out. So, you know. Well,
you know, it's you know, I just look at all the time I wasted. And I, you know, like I'm a believer that like anything over 50 is bonus time. Like when I look at like the complete planet's history, like anybody that lives to be 50 or older is in bonus time, man, because you know, billions of people on this planet have existed that never made it to 50. You know, so. And I'm 56, so I'm 6 years into the bonus, and I don't want to fuck any of it up, man. I've I've messed up a lot of stuff in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had to rebuild a reputation.
Yeah, and that's an important fact that you mentioned, because it's not just, okay, take away the alcohol or take away the meth, dude.
Yeah.
There's a life, dude, and there's a life that you have to live.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, okay, if you take out that one component, sure, it's going to get better, but it's not going to fix it. And then, and that's why I do. You know, I'm a fan of multiple pathways as far as recovery, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
And I think actually the more the merrier.
Yeah.
You know, but if you know, it's. I've totally lost my train of thought. It was going to be a good point though, but
you're probably going to bring up my gambling addiction.
Well, no. I was going to get to that, but
which is
yeah. I mean, because there is.
Which is arrested at the point at this point right now, and has been since June 11th at about 10:30 in the morning. But you know, who's counting?
Right.
But man, you know that's
I was just doing the math.
Yeah. So it's one of the manifestations of this disease that just took over my life again, man, without my permission. And I mean, I gave it permission, but I don't know if I knew or not. But I just it's so easy to just the worst thing that can happen to an addict when they gamble is they win. Because man, that feeling, is like, ooh, this is, endorphins and winning, and then the weird thing is that the insanity of losing is so familiar from your past that it's real easy to go, oh yeah, I'm supposed to feel like this every once in a while.
Right.
I'm supposed to put my head in my hands and go, why me? Why am I so stupid? Why can't I get it right? Why do I have to always subvert myself? It's very familiar, and so man, you got to stay in the solution, and you got to stay plugged in. But
yeah, and it's just like you said, it's not just substance, but I mean, it's just anything. It's an addictive personality.
Yes, it is
what it is.
If I've got 4 credit cards, my disease has 4 credit cards, unless I'm in the solution, man.
Sure. Is there? Have you gone to Is there a GA meeting?
No. I just. Man, it was one of the same things, man.
Yeah, you just kind of applied what you knew from the steps.
One day, man, I got a machine up to $100, and I had no money to my name. I had 20. I put it in the machine. I got it up to 100, and I played it all the way back down to 0. And I realized I've done this 50 times, and I was like, I'm no longer in control of this. I haven't been in a long time. It's time to stop. I gotta fucking stop.
Sure.
So I went into my room, man, and shut the door, and I was like, oh, this is familiar. I'm in a room again with nowhere to go and nothing to do, and my life's gotten really small, and same feeling I had when the day that I on the bicycle in the rain, and I was like, man, dude, you better figure something out. Man. You better you better change,
Right.
And so I just stayed in my room, and I worked all the steps in my mind again. And I admitted, that I was powerless. I asked God to restore me to sanity. I got on my knees and prayed. I said, take my will in my life. I did a quick inventory of all the things I had done. I admitted that I was wrong. I admitted it to God. I admitted it to myself. And man, I just gave myself a crash course, man. And then I white knuckled it, man. And man, quitting gambling for me was way harder than dope ever was, because I was done with dope. I was done with the gambling. It was like, I still got another one in me.
Right. Sure.
I still see those lottery tickets, and I'm like, man, there's some money on number 21.
I could be me. Yeah. Right.
That could fix my life.
I could be the winner. Well, and I guess go ahead.
Well, what it boils down to is what I realize is that, as far as money, it's like dope. It's it's never going to be enough. I started getting scared about money, so I started gambling to try to supplement my income.
Sure.
Right. The bills got a little overwhelming. I was, and so I just realized it's never enough, and I realized, man, dude, you got more than enough. And so one of the things that I did, man, to overcome it was I started practicing unconditional generosity, and it was really cool, man. I mean, I
explain.
Well, man, what I did was when I stopped gambling, I had money. I started having extra money, and I started to, something inside me, just the God voice inside me said, man, give some of this shit away, and don't look for anything in return. And I don't even really sharing about it, because it's
Yeah,
it's kind of like bragging about, hey, listen
to what a good person I am.
Listen to how humble I am, everyone.
Right, yes, I'm fantastic.
But man, I just started giving away money here and there, and not asking for it back, and just saying, man, here. And I realized, like, man, like, I might as well give it to somebody that needs it instead of putting it in a machine and losing it.
Sure.
And man, I just kept getting blessed with money, and it just kept coming in, and so I don't practice it as much as I used to. It had its time, it had its place, and it helped me a lot. And well, I still practice it.
By the way, so anybody, if you see Kelly out at a meeting, be sure and hit him up for $20.
Hey, man, people do it all the time, and I give it to them because, man, like,
no, that's cool.
Because man, it makes them feel good. It makes me feel good. But,
well, no, I always go, okay, dude, what are you gonna use this for?
Yeah.
See, I have to have the disclaimer.
I usually listen, and like I'll hear them saying, like, I don't get paid till Tuesday, I'm like,
no, I get it.
And then after the meeting, I'll slip it to him and go, hey, man,
yeah,
don't worry about it. Just take this, man. And you go, I can't take. I'll go, you didn't ask, and,
right.
But
I guess what I was going to say earlier, though, is that what my point was that I think the 12 steps are a beautiful blueprint, and we were talking about multiple things, but with anything, and I love, like, whenever I hear you talk, you always have. It's almost like a practical solution, and you always put the term you have to want it. I mean, you have to want it, because I can't make you want it. The 12 steps can't make you want it. CBD, CBT, sorry, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
None of that can make you want to be sober.
Right.
And I mean, I think that's an important part that you always bring up.
Well, I think it's like last night when we were at that meeting, and I was sharing. I was like, and I want to get religious, and I'm not a Christian. I am kind of not one, am one, like I really don't know. But like when I see a picture of Jesus, I get really happy because he was really cool, right? So, and I love what the stuff that he said. So, I mean, like, I'm attracted to it, and he was basically like, do you have faith you can be healed? Like he, do you believe you can be healed? Like if they said, he only healed people that asked. And then he said, man, have faith that you can be and you will be. And it's the same thing as in these programs, man. It's like if you believe you can be fixed and you believe you can be healed, all you got to do is ask. But you got to ask somebody to help you. And anyway, that's my But that was the point. Was like God makes a lot of sense when you're in recovery. To whereas like to an addict. God is like this thing that like tells you
when you're an addict, the substance is your God, really, or what you're working for, or your vocation, really. I mean, at least to me.
Well, most people, as we all know, when they come into those meetings, they're mad at God, and because who wouldn't be mad at like the guy who tells you everything you do is wrong? And I saw a guy on Facebook, some old dude, this God hates sin, and that's how I picture him saying it. That's what his profile picture looked like. And I'm just like, no, I don't think so. I think he hates what it does to us. Like, I don't think he hates it. I think he hates, like, don't do that. Don't hurt yourself. Like, just stop. And I was like, what I was sharing last night, like, God, I was mad at God because why'd you create me to like the wrong stuff too much? It's like, no, I created you to like a lot of stuff a lot. I just, you like the wrong stuff, but if you'll just get clean and stop liking the wrong stuff, like you'll also like the right stuff a lot too, right? I created you to like the right stuff too, right? And so, like just that, just the mad at God thing is funny because, people aren't really, they're just mad at like the idea. But anyway,
I got it.
When I see a picture of Buddha, I get happy because I know what he said too, and I'm like, oh, I identify with it,
right?
And it gives me a warm feeling inside, and so I'm not mad at that stuff anymore.
Sure. Well, one question I had, and I think you would be a perfect person to answer this, because let's say you have a certain confidence about you. So, I mean, a lot of people, when they want to quit using, and I was guilty of this, but you know, you always are afraid of losing your edge.
Yeah.
You know, and what do you have to say to that? Like somebody that's like, oh, well, I'll lose my edge. I won't be cool. I won't be able to do this anymore. Life's going to suck if I don't have this substance that makes me a certain way or, you know, bulletproof.
Well, I'll just say, man, that like that is a fear, you know, and it's an uneducated, you know, fear that's told by the lie of the disease. And that, like, once you get clean and you realize that, like, okay, this recovery community is just as kick-ass as the party community.
Oh, yeah.
It's just as fun. It's just as cool. There's just as many hot chicks. There's just as many, I mean, you know, there's just as many whatevers.
Yeah.
There's just as many niches for you to fall into, you know. And so I remember this guy sharing, man, in a meeting, and he was real cool, and he was like, you know, everybody's going to find their niche in here, man. Just find your niche. And I was, you know, and I was like, okay, well, what's my niche? And you know, one day I just realized my niche is being kick-ass. Right? Like, I mean, like, whatever, you know, and I'm not saying that like in a confident, cocky, arrogant way. I'm saying, like, I'm good at, like, being the center of attention when it's needed. Like, I don't always have to be. Like, I don't go to every party and go, hey, look at me, orange, you glad I wore this jacket? You know, I don't have to do that. But when it's called on, when people are like, hey, man, can you do, you know, can you liven this up? Or, you know, they or people, you know, I'm there and I'm ready. And, you know, it's a skill, it's a niche. And so, you know, my niche is like sharing at meetings and, man, making it different.
Yeah.
You know,
no. And I think it's funny because you are definitely different when you're sharing. Yeah. And you say some kind of, I would say, unconventional stuff.
Yes.
And maybe people might go, oh, that's a little, you know, arrogant or whatever. Yeah. But, I mean, hell, dude, it's, you know, we can't have, you know, everybody just going, oh, my life sucks. And,
well, you know,
blah, blah, blah.
Some people either like it when you can compare the recovery to the Wizard of Oz, and some people don't like
it.
You know, and
right, and to feed off of what you were saying, I was gonna say, you know, I think people, what they need to do, or what helps when you you know, get out and you are in recovery, is find something that makes you happy, which I think is what you were saying, and find something that you're passionate about. You know, and because you know, I see a lot of people that get sober and they're still miserable.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I mean, we've seen it all the time. I mean, to me, if you're sober and you're still miserable, then you gotta look at what maybe your process is, and what, you know, what you're doing wrong, or what could possibly.
I mean, you're gonna find your niche in recovery if you're willing to be healed, if you believe, if you have faith that it can work, if you you know, if you can go and use no more. You know? Like, I mean, you know, if you can find your niche, man, and like that niche is whatever you love, because not everybody's niche is the same. Like, you know, I could never do this. I don't know anything about podcasts, or, you know, I can get behind a microphone and run my mouth. But man,
neither do I.
Well, when I was watching y'all do all this, I was like, okay, never mind. I don't want my own podcast. This is way too complicated. You know, because, you know, we all have delusions of grandeur, and you know, minor delusions are as big and real as anybody. But man, you know, I've found an audience, you know, in a meeting, and man, and I love to, like, be able to help speak my truth, and like, and make people laugh, and make people happy, and make people invigorated, and feel on fire for something, you know. So I mean, that's just that's my niche, man, and you know.
Well, okay, so we've pretty much hit everything except your street name, aka your rap name, dude. But the Falcon. So people know you as the Falcon. So I know there's got to be
complete nonsense.
I know there's got to be a story behind it. So I
made that nickname up on Facebook one time, and I just pushed it for a little bit. It was completely made up by me. Nobody named me that. Nobody, you know, there's no cool bird story. You know, I just made it up, man, and then it never would die. So I still walk into places and people go, the Falcon. I'm like, and I got to do the wings and do the caca.
There's moves that go with it.
Well, people are always haters are always trying to bring you down. I'll go caca, and somebody will go, the Falcon doesn't make that noise, and I'm like, this one does.
That's funny, man. Well, I think we're probably at about what time are we at? I don't even know, dude. I've had 50. Let's make it a little bit longer. Okay, so if you first off, I want to give props to our sponsor, who they've been our sponsor ever since I started. But that is Summer Sky, which is www.summersky.us. And that is 888-857-8857. Once again, that is 888-857-8857. They are a place out in Stephenville, Texas, where I got clean. And, I was fortunate enough to be one of those guys that I went to rehab. And then, maybe, I don't know, it has something to do with my age. But I was just like, I got it, dude. I was like, man, I had a problem. And if this is going to be that big of a problem, it's not worth it to be a part of my life, you know. And that's how it was for me. Right. And I don't know, and I think it could be an age thing where I don't necessarily. I still feel a little bit invincible. Yeah. But and a little.
That's going to leave very quickly.
That's going to leave. That's going to leave when you get your colonoscopy.
Well, I'm going to say like 55. Now the difference, like when I turned 50, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be badass forever. Right. And then somewhere between 55 and 56, it's like, nope, you're not. Like, like this is not that cool.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I'm wondering if that was a reason. But my bottom was awful. It was, and I think all our bottoms were awful. So if you have somebody coming to you, like at a meeting or even outside of a meeting, and they go, hey, I, do the proverbial, I want what you have, what do you tell them? What would your starting advice be to them?
Well, when I first got clean, for about the first 4 or 5 years, man, like, and then of course got on Facebook and got reconnected with normal people from my past. A lot of people's parents and stuff, they would, they would see me and their kid, they would remember me with their kids and like how messed up I was, and they would go, oh my God, he's doing great. He's got a family and he's just completely changed. And so they would reach out to me and they would, they thought I was like the dope whisperer or something,
Yeah.
Like, can you talk to my son?
Yeah, no, it's funny.
Say some magic words to him, that will change it.
It's funny like, when you become sober and you recover out loud and you're you just say something about it. They, it's so funny how all these people will come in and just, okay, well, what should I do? Yeah. I have a dad that's 75 that's drinking way too much.
And what I tell everyone is, go to a meeting.
Yeah.
Start and keep going.
Yeah.
Go and keep going and do what they tell you.
Yeah.
And that's the answer. Mm-hmm. That's the secret. Like, there is no other secret.
Well, and I love the thing also the part when you go to meetings. Not only are you with like-minded people with a like-mind issue as yours, but you're in a community, dude. Yeah. And I think a community and building your community is such a huge part of, it was at least of my recovery, because if I was just doing this on my own, I would be,
80% of the meetings I go to are fun.
Yeah.
They don't suck at all.
Yeah.
20% is kind of like, oh, what am I doing here? This is crazy. Like that dude needs to be quiet. Yeah. But that's just me. That's my shit.
Sure.
But man, they, it's like I tell my friends, man, that we're still. I'm like, dude, meetings are fun, man. They're not a beat down like punishment. They're like, hey, what's up, bro? Yeah, man. This,
Right.
it's the meeting after the meeting before the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff. Man,
Sure.
is
Well, and I always tell people that I've like, man, since I've become sober, I've like doubled my friends. Like,
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
a whole there, and that's one of the reasons why I did this webcast or podcast, is because there was so much information out there, resources, just stories and all this stuff that I never knew about, but I never really seeked it out. But then it's just like I opened this whole box and there was like, oh my God, this amazing, stuff going on that I was just too drunk to realize, man.
Well, I spent the first 8 or 9 years of my recovery just in a box, in an NA box, and man, then you meet people along the way, like like you meet people like Jay. And Jay, and he's like a uniter. He brings people together. Yeah, you should
JF, shout out, and then
you should have him on here.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. We've had Mr. Rigdon on.
Yeah,
so
and you got people like Jeff, man. That they bring people together
Yeah.
from all the fellowships. You
Sure.
know, you'll see them over here, and you see them over there. And then you'll notice on Facebook they're friends with everybody you're friends with, but everybody likes them more than they like you, and you're like, hey, I want to be like him, man. Like I want to be liked like that,
Sure,
and it changes your life, man.
Right.
If you're willing, and if you can be healed, and you can be better, and you can be a better friend, like you hang out with people like Jeff and Jay, and you go, I can do better, man.
Right.
Like these guys make me feel like I can do better, and you'll meet people along the way that are like that, man, that change your story and change your recovery and unite you with other people that you weren't expecting to know. And I got I had a birthday party 2 weeks ago, man, and a surprise party, and it was like a mixture of like my old friends that I've had since I got in recovery, and then new friends that I've just met in the last couple of years, and it was beautiful, man. It was like, this is so cool, and and then I don't know if you know this or not, but I have a super hot smoke show girlfriend, and no big deal.
I would expect nothing less.
No big deal at all.
Right.
But anyway, man, she's perfect, and I have to give her a shout out.
Well, I was gonna say this is the part of the show where we give shout outs, so go ahead, dude.
Well, I mean, she's my north when I go south, and she's my peace, man. She's it's the most peaceful relationship I've ever been in, and man, I'm a lucky guy, man.
Yeah.
Like,
do you say her name or no?
Oh yeah, her name's Taylor, man. She's
okay.
Everybody knows her. She's like everybody likes her way more than they like me.
I don't know her.
Okay, well,
we'll
introduce you next time.
We'll have to remedy that.
But her eyes sparkle when she talks to you, so you'll love her.
All right.
And her hair smells like cinnamon. So,
okay, well, cool. Good to know. But hey, man, anybody else you want to shout out to? I mean,
man, I
there's too many.
Just
who was like maybe like you want to shout out to somebody that was game changing in your recovery journey?
Man, there's so many, man, but there's my first sponsor was cool, man. He was awesome. His name was Todd. He's a big country boy. Man, we got down and dirty, and we got into it, man, and it was good. You know, he helped me a lot, and then I met the Stovall's, Steve and Susie Stovall. I met them, man, about 4 years into recovery, and we've been best friends ever since. And when I go to their house, it feels more like home than any home I've had since my parents passed away.
Sure.
And so, just them, and then my sponsor now, John H. from East Side. He's a magnanimous leader of men, and I'm just lucky to have him in my life, and that whole sponsee family is a beautiful thing. And I think Dylan was in it for a little bit. I'm not sure. I hadn't seen him in a while.
Sure.
But hopefully he gets back in there.
Well, yeah. So, but I appreciate you coming out, dude, and love to have you back on the show. Maybe you can co-host sometime or something
I would love
like that.
Man.
Yeah. And then also, thoughts and prayers go out to Dylan. Going through his rough time, but we love you, buddy.
Yeah.
Miss you today. And other than that, next week we have a guy that is actually the owner of the. I guess it's the Mandala Center, which is
wow.
Yeah. So a guy named Vijay, and we also have Mr. Dusty Burrows. He's recovery famous, the bearded oracle. But yeah. So we're gonna have them out next week.
What's up, Dusty?
Yeah. Hey, and then also be sure if you haven't I hope that everything came out okay today. This was our first run, so I mean it seemed good from here. Hopefully it came across good.
Yeah.
And I was just gonna say, be sure and go to our YouTube channel if you're watching us on Facebook. Go to thispinkcloud.com, and that will take you to the YouTube channel where you can like and share this video. And also, I'm gonna have extras. I'm gonna start doing clips on there, so be sure and subscribe. Maybe put together a little best of. Put old Nate to work there because he's got nothing to do, right, Nate?
Thank you, Nate.
But other than that, I appreciate it. And you had something else you wanted to say? Or?
No, man, I'm good to go, man.
Okay.
I'm just, yeah, man.
Well, I'm good. It's funny because now I've got all these. I didn't even get to any of the good stuff like the. Oh yeah, I got to turn this up. I'm like, it's gonna be fun if I ever like actually do the entire show by me. It's gonna be like I'm gonna be like truly the Wizard of Oz back here.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of buttons you got to press. But yeah, basically, let me see if I got this. There we go. Oh, that's a little crispy, right?
Man,
yeah.
Let's start my rap career. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah. But hey, kids, if you ever need any help, reach out to me. Reach out to Kelly. Reach out to the Kellys. We're here to help you. If you want to have anybody on the show, hit me up privately, DM me. And, just remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety. Because if there was, we would all take too many.
We would smoke them.